WTBQ's Hour 10 is being brought to you locally by Mill Spa Furniture. It's 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. It is Taylor in the studio. Neil Sinclair is here.
Greetings and salutations.
All right. And who is our special guest once a month here?
It's Paul Nebrasky from Nebrasky Plumbing and Heating. And let me tell you something. This is fantastic. I mentioned earlier, if people want to ask questions, please give us a call, 845-651-1110. Or if you have a question, that doesn't pertain to it, email taylor@wtbq.com, and we'll give it to Paul when he's on next. He'll answer. So good morning, Paul.
Good morning. You can also email me at info@nebraskyplumbing.com.
There we go. You go right to the source.
Absolutely.
Right to the source.
So we're going to start off about, and I love this subject, how to hire a contractor. And Frank and I are like addicted to HGTV.
Now, you're not talking about a hitman here.
I want one of those. Can we get a specialist for that?
Maybe. Paul can do a lot of things.
You never know what's buried in your plumbing system.
I don't disagree. We found a lot of that. That's a whole nother show.
But I love this subject because everybody thinks they know, but you don't know what you don't even know. So let's start off with some of the questions people should ask.
Well, so Frank, I got a question for you. We talked on the show. You seem to have a lot of good stories about contractors.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the first thing you guys do when you go to hire that contractor?
What do you ask?
Do you go through the yellow pages? I mean,
that's a good
question.
Usually I ask somebody if I know somebody that's had work done, but a lot of times we don't know a lot of people that have. So pretty much get on board and get online, and I start looking at, reviews sometimes and, good, bad, whatever,
I think that's a great place to start for people. What I like, and I really like the personal recommendation. Right.
Yeah,
so
that's what we use.
So personal, Neil, that's great because you're hearing from the person that who they use, what was their experience.
Right.
You mentioned online, which online is everything today, and Google and Yelp and Angie's List. Yeah, that's a rocky road, and online reviews to me are a little bit scary. Not all of them are true. People pay to be online.
Pay for play.
Pay for play. So I think online reviews are good and to use them, but use them with caution, Frank.
Well, you can check further. If you get somebody's name where you think they have a lot of good reviews, especially if you live in a local area where you can call people and say, or a realtor. What about calling a realtor and asking them?
I think realtors, anybody local, I think it's the best way to do it. Some of right here in Warwick, Facebook has a really good group. It's the Warwick Moms Group. And some of those groups can be really bad because you got a lot of people who are angry people. Angry people.
Yeah, they want a place to have an outlet.
Right.
And want a place to have an outlet.
An anonymous place to have an outlet.
Yes.
And anonymous, which is right. And when people are anonymous, they tend to. But the Warwick Moms Group, good group, and they're honest. So, yes, personal reference is 100% the best way to go.
Okay, good to hear.
Give online with a grain of salt. I can talk about online reviews. I'm sure we all can. And
It's horrible. And also a lot of people out there, and you don't realize when you have a competitor out there, another competitor can actually get online, and the best way that they can take you out is to get some bad reviews on your website, and that happens all the time because it's an anonymous way they can do that, whereas before they just spread the bad word. I don't like those guys, we're better. They can actually go down and create some damage to a business.
People need to look at this with a grain of salt because you don't know what you're reading is right or wrong.
And plus, the one thing that we always say is that if you go and you pay for a service, if Paul comes over to my house and puts a new heating system and it's great, we're done. I'm happy. I'll tell my friends they're great. But I am not going to go online and say, what a great experience I had, because I expect to have a good experience.
Right. Only the angry people are the ones who go online.
Angry people are the only ones. It's a way for them to vent.
Yeah, to vent.
And I was
anonymously.
Anonymously.
I was telling Paul, I went to go years ago, I was looking for a VCR, and I looked up every review for everyone ever made, and they all broke, and they fell out of the pieces, fell off. And I said, but who are these people? All right, there is always some defect going on. Okay, I get it. But otherwise, I'm not going to buy anything. So I just said, I'm done with this. I'm just going to, go and buy one that I like.
All right, so let's get back to plumbing and heating and not VCRs.
Well, that's the idea. No, I got to relate this to the general public. That's what it's all about.
Maybe find a VCR
Taylor.
tape on how to do plumbing, right? Put it out of business, right? Like YouTube does these days.
It has to be a DVD. VCRs, no more VCRs.
I agree.
DVD.
So Neil, when you hired that contractor, one of the biggest pitfalls I see that nobody really looks into. Every truck and every phone book, phone books aren't around that much anymore. Every contractor says they're licensed and insured.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this 30 years. Do you know I can count on one hand how many homeowners ask me for my license
Wow.
and ask me for my insurance?
Yeah, because you assume everybody's
interesting.
licensed
But that's
and
a
insured.
really, really bad assumption.
Really?
All right,
Oh,
so
interesting.
let's talk to our New Jersey listeners. In New Jersey, you have to have a state plumbing license.
Oh, yeah,
Okay?
I heard this. Yeah.
All right, so that really covers you. In New York State, and specifically Orange County, you don't need a plumbing license.
Really?
Nope, there's no plumbing license required.
So I can go over to Neil's house and fix his pipe today, and
Exactly.
no insurance.
I would
have to have
not suggest that, Neil.
What time are you coming over?
Yeah, thanks. So I don't need a license, but do I need insurance?
Well, technically, to be in business, you should have insurance,
But I
but
don't
there's
have
no
to.
licensing agency making sure that you have
Holy
insurance.
smokes!
How do we change that law?
Well, I've been trying for years, okay? Or, somebody needs a license to cut my hair, my barber, but I can go blow up your house. I don't want to say that, but, I can go deal with gas and water and sewer, and we don't need a license on
That's
that.
crazy.
That's crazy.
So the point at that I'm making with that, the next thing's insurance. Everybody says the insurance. But you, as a homeowner, should ask for a copy of the insurance from your contractor.
Absolutely.
And look at that. A couple things. Do they have liability insurance? If they have liability insurance, what is their
Max?
Max, right? Exactly, Taylor. Because if you have a house worth $300,000 and this contract only has $100,000 worth of insurance,
Not covering you.
You're not covering you. Not covering
And
you.
if it's a corporation, you can't sue them personally.
It's the point of you want them to have proper insurance.
Yeah.
Ask
Absolutely.
to see their license. It could be their driver's license they say they have. Who knows? Okay. But more importantly, because we're not in a licensed county, ask for their insurance.
I
Make
agree.
sure you're covered properly. Also, make sure that they have workman's comp insurance on their workers.
That's
because
very
if the
important.
worker gets hurt in your house, you don't want to be sued.
Right.
Okay. And the worker has to be covered. So really something I really feel that I wish more people would ask me
Yeah,
for.
very-
And
good point.
Paul, there was actually a story yesterday in the news where a house had burned down up somewhere, and it was under renovation at the time. So I was just wondering which one of the renovating contractors caught something on fire or something shorted out. Was that person licensed and insured, and what's going to happen now?
Well, you're going to find out.
It happened. Things happen.
But here's
Mistakes happen.
Here's the other thing, contracts. And everybody thinks just because they sign a contract, they don't really read it a lot of times. I'm sure. How many people really read contracts?
Most people do not. I mean, myself included, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
fine.
you
That's
don't
why
have
we
time
have
for that.
lawyers, to read the fine print.
Right.
But what the biggest thing I'm going to say with contracts that I see happen all the time, read the contract, ask for a start date, a completion date. Really, most importantly, is a permit needed? Because a lot of people will get their work done without a permit. And you're fined for a lot of years. And then you go to sell your house.
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about even big jobs, like a lot of people don't want to get permits on the basement for taxes. We all know that. But if you're changing your heating system, not every town requires it, but a lot of towns require a permit. Now you're going to sell your house. It's closing day. We get these calls all the time, and they can't sell the house. 'Cause
close.
The house doesn't have a permit on the heating system. Wow.
Is that the same for air conditioning too?
Air conditioning, really anything you do in your house, ask
Anything.
the contractor if you need a permit, but don't even ask. Call the town of Warwick, call the village of
Sure.
Warwick, call your local municipality, find out if a permit's needed.
Yeah, because, I'll tell you, Paul, I see that on the home improvement shows all the time where these flippers buy the house and then they look and they go, we're not sure if that room in the back is permitted. It is not. Wind up, they have to take the whole room down. They have to, and it costs them more money.
Wow.
They bought it sight unseen, and they get stuck with it because they can't construct.
And
Yeah.
generally it happens in the last minute where the people are trying to close on their house.
Oh, yeah.
Never fails.
And there's also a cost to that permit. So is that permit cost included from the contractor, or am I paying for the permit?
Good point.
All right, and that happens all the time. I want to talk about money. I mean, money is a really, really problem. I do not come up with a payment schedule that you're comfortable with. Do not overpay that contractor. And I'm
Don't
talking,
let them blackmail you.
and it's not even blackmail. I'm talking about larger jobs. A lot of contractors are asking for a large down payment. That would scare me right away.
It would, because most of the stories you hear about are people in the middle of a job and they disappear or they don't come back for a month because they got another job they want to complete.
Right, and are they fiscally responsible? Do they have the money to do that job?
Exactly.
And
Oh,
generally,
that's a
when
good
they're
point.
asking for a lot of money up
very good
front,
point.
it means they are not fiscally capable of
Right.
supplying
They
the
need
material.
your money to do the job.
Right, which means they're already
exactly.
behind. They're
Right,
already
good
behind.
point.
And they're running to that new job to get more money. Okay, so really do financial check if you can on them. Make sure, do not give them that much money up front. Okay?
I agree.
Don't get too far ahead
and the other thing
of where you need to
that's
be.
bothersome is the time. You know, they're going to say by December 15th we'll have X done. By January 15th we'll have Y done. What happens in a contract if it isn't done by December 15th and they're 2 weeks or 3 weeks behind? What do you do? What's your
Yeah, that's important also. I agree. And that's for larger projects, which is a lot harder, and that's really good to have that lawyer look at the contract.
Absolutely.
But don't get it. Even if you're getting a heating system and they want 70% down, there's a problem with that.
You're taking care of their cash flow issues.
Right. And what do you think is a reasonable down payment?
I think 20% is reasonable.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
And I've had customers want to pay me in advance. I'll pay in advance, give me a discount. I never want to take full payment till I'm done with that job. All right, I am not comfortable with it. Till I'm done and you're happy, my answer is you pay me when you're happy. All right, if a contractor's looking for final payment before they're done, red flag. Flag.
I agree 100%.
Okay. And I want to talk about even small jobs. Frank, your home, Taylor, your home, your wife's home, your daughter's home, and you got a contractor coming over. How do you know who's walking in your house?
100% right.
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you know who's walking in your house?
I think Charles Bronson when I hear that.
Well, but
you look at the truck in your driveway. Oh, that must be Joe.
But Neil, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
You want a contractor to have a lettered truck.
Right.
Okay. You want to be able. Really, the contractor on his first day there, if you're going to fix plumbing and heating, shouldn't pull in your driveway. They should pull in your front where you can look out the window and see who's knocking on your door. Yeah. Right. So you want that comfort for that homeowner. So you generally want a lettered truck. All right. You also uniform generally. If you're hiring a small contractor, is good. It shows a little bit of professionalism that they have a name tag. Our name on their shirt's not bad.
Right.
All right. Those are all things that you really need to feel safe and secure.
Because you know they really came from that company and that's who they represent.
Right. And there's some other things you can do. The contracting do also, but for me I advertise it, but I do it really for myself. But all my men are background checked. We do a criminal background check at every single one of my guys before they hire.
So that's a question to ask the company, too. Do you do background checks on your employees?
Right. And that's a hard one because probably they're going to say yes anyway. But you know the better companies that have been in business for a while, have a letter truck, who have a written proposal, background truck. I drug test all my employees.
Oh.
Okay. And I'm not telling you can ask that question, but I'm just telling you these are things that you're looking for when you have somebody that you're trusting into your home.
Like 100%.
And it's another thing. So we took it a step further as our company. So we now have a software company that we use that's much like Uber. Have you guys used Uber?
No.
We don't.
I'm Uber.
I've used
the driver.
Uber.
Yeah. Have you?
Uber?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
yeah.
what do you think of the experience,
Used
Neil?
in New York City. Have you?
Really?
Boston? Yeah.
And the experience of knowing that car, you can see the car on the way. You can see the car.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It gives you a picture of the driver, so you know who's picking you up.
All steps of the way, you know when it's going to be there. I mean, it's an exact science almost.
Wow.
So
not perfect, but
for me,
No, it isn't.
and there's also the component of you're getting in the right car because you're hearing all these stories about Uber, abducting people because it's the wrong driver. So I wanted to have my customers be comfortable. So I bought a software program that does the exact thing as Uber. So when my men gets dispatched to your house, you get a picture of the technicians coming, so you know who's walking your house.
That's
just like Uber.
Impressive.
You get a little history of him, so you know who's walking in your house. He likes dogs. He doesn't like dogs.
I love that.
And you also can watch the truck coming to your house like an Uber. So Uber you can see. So
wow.
So you know when they're coming.
And
That's so
Paul, I'm going to
cool.
tell you something.
that's
There's
great.
nothing worse than wondering when the guy is going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they always give you that window, like when you
right.
have the cable,
Window.
and then you're
1
sitting
to
there
10.
waiting, and then the guy's not there. That's an amazing service.
And not every contractor can have that. But the point is, ask when you call, who's coming to my house? Right? Who's the technician coming? Who's the serviceman? You don't want to open that door and not know who's going to be there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I
think
so,
that's great.
So I'm just giving you
I
some
feel
tips.
that way. You're 100% right because whenever somebody comes over that I've never used before, I have like a little weird feeling in my,
You know,
We all do.
And Paul,
there's
you're
stories.
actually bringing that back to the way service used to be 50 years ago because, the companies were small back then. So when you dealt with Bob, who was the plumber, you knew it was Bob coming over to your house.
Exactly.
But as business got bigger, we lost that personality contact.
personal.
And you, Paul Nebrasky, who's with us today, is bringing that into the business. So that's
it.
wonderful.
And there's ways that smaller companies who aren't as large and might not be able to afford that technology can do it. You know, ask when you call, who's the technician coming over? You know, what's his experience? And why not?
Make your customer feel comfortable.
Make yourself,
That's good
comfortable.
advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Okay, so another, for larger jobs, you were talking about, Bob the plumber, Frank. Good question to ask is, are you using subcontractors on a big job?
Oh.
Because a lot of bigger companies will hire a subcontractor to do the work for them, not their own employees, which is okay. I don't have an issue with that, but you need to know that moving forward. Who is working in my house?
Is he covered under your company?
Is he covered under your company? If he's a subcontractor, you want the subcontractor's insurance. And it's really just important questions to ask.
Yeah, they'll
And
save
Paul-
you in the end.
And Paul, that's an important question to ask, whether you're having a faucet replaced or having the whole house replumbed. Doesn't matter how big or small the job may be.
Well,
they're still coming in your house, and they're
we
still.
have an example of that with the last plumber we had. And he came in to do two small things. He was going to change the faucet in the tub, because the little thing you pull up for the shower, whatever that's called.
The thingy. It's called the thingy.
The thingy. We fix a lot of things. We're good at that.
It's a plumbing term, thingy.
The thingy specialist.
That and the duct tape. We're good.
Well, just to replace that, and then the inside of the toilet upstairs. And he came in, and I had actually bought the two parts because I thought Frank could do it. Well, I was mistaken. And he came in and did it, and he sent a bill for $900. And I said, but I didn't do all that stuff first. I didn't say, what's it going to cost?
Yeah.
How long is it going to take?
Yep.
He came back like 4 times because he didn't do it right. And by the way, recently that little thingy is not working again.
Yeah, so you spent
Taylor,
$900 for nothing.
You bring up
Did not spend
you bring
$900.
up a great point.
Potentially.
I believe in upfront pricing.
Right.
Okay, and not all contractors do it, but we give a price upfront in everything we do, and a lot of contractors are going to upfront pricing.
You need to do that.
Okay, so ask for an upfront price before you do it, and then you know what's happening.
Absolutely.
We're one of the only professions left who give a price afterwards. You go to a restaurant, you know what you're paying for that steak before
You're
you go
100%
there.
right.
You go to get a set of tires. You go
Right.
to get your car fixed. Okay, there's no reason not to ask for an upfront
You're
price.
100% right. Yeah,
Yeah,
why don't we do that?
I'm
That's
talking
interesting.
to small
I do.
jobs. I'm not talking for a big job. I'm talking if somebody comes in to hang a picture for you, you can't a mirror. It doesn't make a difference. Ask him for the price of it.
I don't do anything in my house that I don't ask the price about.
But it's amazing how
I
many.
didn't, and I learned a lesson.
Yeah.
But that's really another really good thing.
I want to get to something very kind of fun.
Okay.
Which is all the different names for toilets. I mean, I can only think of a couple. So I can think of commode, John, water closet, and toilet. I mean, that's what I've come up with. So
Now we have an expert. He'll fill us in on the
yes,
rest of
I'm
them.
sure.
Frank, you watch all these shows. What do you got? What do you
call a toilet?
What do you call a toilet?
Like, how many names are there for a toilet?
There's also the what's that English word they use?
They use it.
that's for the woman.
That's for the woman.
John?
Oh no! What do they call water
The
closet?
loo.
The water.
Loo.
No, the
The
water.
loo.
The
The
loo.
loo's funny because nobody really knows where the loo came from, right?
Right.
Don't know
so,
where the
so
John
if you
came
talk
from.
about the loo, if you remember, in Europe it was horrible because you would use a chamber pot, and that's where a pot came from.
Oh, yeah.
The pot,
Okay.
the pot or
Potty,
potty,
yeah.
because you used to have a pot that you go to the bathroom
Oh.
in, and in bad times in Europe they used to dump the pot out the window.
Can you imagine walking by that house?
Right, so they think that's where loo came from.
out
From
below.
from the French word garde l'eau, which means watch out for the water.
Wow.
So that's where they think the word loo came from, which is really
I love
interesting.
it.
That's good.
You know,
That's good.
which is really
Look out
interesting.
below.
You know, what do you think of?
Where did John come from?
Well, they also have the water closet too, which
Yeah,
is the
he said
English.
that.
Yeah.
Well, the water closet makes sense. So when you go to Europe we're looking for the word restroom. I can never figure out why they call it a restroom.
I can't either. That was something I said too.
Yeah, there's
We
no
don't
bed in
rest
there,
there.
hopefully.
Where does restroom come from?
Yeah.
Anywhere in the United States, you go to Europe and it says WC.
Water
closet.
closet.
That's
Right.
what it is. It's a closet with water in it. I mean, where does restroom come from?
Yeah,
when you're
that is
sitting,
a
you're
good
resting.
point. I said that the other day. I'm not.
And a
resting
bathroom can be a bathroom without a bath in it too, right? It can have just a toilet and a
sink.
It's called the bathroom. I want to go to the bathroom.
But you call that a half bath.
Maybe people are resting in it, but it's really not a
restroom or a bathroom.
Well, actually, that's how I got through college.
Okay.
It's the only quiet place.
I thought you.
Neil, what about the head? People call it the head, right?
That's right, the head. I forgot about that one.
Where's the body?
Where did that come from?
Well, that really comes from sailors. Because the water closet used to be at the head of the ship.
Oh.
Okay. So, which actually they called it a latrine, which is
Another
the
one,
military word for it is a latrine.
And
the latrine used to be at the head of the ship, so they called it the head.
Oh,
so that's it. So we're getting most of them.
Where did John come from?
John is from Sir John Harrington. And he was what I understand he worked for Queen Elizabeth, and he put her toilet in, so she called it the John.
Oh,
okay,
his claim to fame.
That's pretty good,
right?
Wow.
Well, okay, what are we? So it's interesting.
Of course, if you're Cheech and Chong, it'd be I want to go to the can, man.
I don't. You know what? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'll have to look.
You have to be stoned to look
it up. It was originated by Cheech and Chong,
right? Which might be a restroom for them, right?
Yeah, Up in Smoke.
That's
Up in Smoke.
Good movie.
Yeah,
a great movie. I love this little trivia there.
that is very cool.
Yeah.
So, if any listeners have any more, I got a few more for them. Send them in. We like to hear them.
Absolutely. Give them your email
John's
address
Follies.
again.
It's info@nebraskaplumbing.com. Any questions, send them in, and we can have a little fun with it.
Oh, yeah,
that's great.
absolutely. Because there's so many different, preconceptions about. Oh. We have a call. I can tell because Frank was animated.
He's a little.
Okay, caller. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Roxanne and Nikki Brand from Warwick.
Hey, good morning. So you have a question for
Good
Paul?
morning.
You have a question for
well, we're listening to you guys, and I'm laughing. The first thing I thought of was the loo, and then we said, oh, my God, laboratory.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's a good one. I don't have that
good one.
I don't have that one.
Rex,
we didn't think of that.
A lot of people say that as a sink. If you tell somebody a lavatory, they're looking at a sink. But that's
where
a good
did
one.
lavatory come from? That's a very good. All right, Rox,
that's a great question. I'm writing that one down. You got one for me.
Tune in next time. We're going to have the answer for you.
That actually came from laboratory, and somebody had a lisp. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a
nice
great day.
Glad you're laughing, too.
You too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That's fantastic.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, we forgot about that one.
Lavatory.
Wow, how many different names? You know what it is? Everybody has a different word for it, and we all, especially when you're with people, you don't want to come out with the wrong word, But usually it's restroom. I think with us, it's where would your restroom facilities be?
Right, and I also want to understand the other thing I got like restroom. Why does everybody say I'm running to the restroom? Why does everybody run?
Because by the time
you
have to go, you're in such bad shape. You better run there.
You're running. Like O.J. Simpson running for the airport.
That's true.
Oh, not like him.
That's true.
Not killing anybody on the way.
Yeah,
I would like.
It's always like let me run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, because
no, you can't go. I'm not letting you.
No, walk, don't run. Right? Like
then
you're
you have
in school.
to run.
Walk, don't run.
For me, by the time I get there, I am running. I'm sprinting.
I know my time's running low here, but we missed one good one. Where did crapper come from?
I was going to say crapper. Come on, I was going to say that.
First name, I believe, John, right?
I was going to say crapper.
Is it John Crapper?
It's Thomas Crapper.
Tom, okay.
Now, we don't know.
Close
a lot of
enough.
people don't think this one's real, but, I don't know. So supposedly he invented in, I think it was 1836, the first flushing toilets, Thomas Crapper. Okay. I looked that one up before I got on, before I came on, and some people say yes, some people
that's
come
a
no.
little
I
dubious.
love it.
All right, so
I like it.
That's great.
All right, but just keep calling in. We want some new ones.
Yeah,
and we'll look them up.
absolutely.
great.
And when
Wow.
Paul's on again, we're going to do a little bit of serious and a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got some good. In plumbing, we got some fun stuff.
You're
Now-
doing it how many?
We'll get into what's buried under there too. We
Yeah.
found people's
They
plumbing.
found John Gotti, I think, finally.
We found
Does anybody
everything
remember
but
John Gotti?
We found everything but John Gotti in people's plumbing.
Does anybody even
Believe me,
remember
we have.
John Gotti anymore?
Yes, we do.
If you don't
We
want us
do.
to know, don't.
Don't call us.
Well,
my
and
God,
Taylor, you'll
that's funny.
probably use some psychology, but you can
Okay.
probably tell what the person is like depending on what they actually call the bathroom.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
When you meet somebody, you can tell right away how much class they have, how they grew up, everything, just by what they call the
You
restroom.
may be correct in that.
Right?
Or it's just the way people were raised using certain terminology. Just like today, instead of saying, I'm going to try, let's just try a little thing. Neil, when somebody says thank you, what do you say?
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Exactly. This is the new thing that people are saying.
He's wrong. It's not no problem. It's no worries.
Oh, yeah.
No worries.
No worries.
No,
and
one
no
more
problem.
person says no worries, I'm going to strangle them.
So here's what I do when they do this. And a lot of times it was waiters and waitresses. And I stop them, and they're always shocked. Was there a problem to begin with? Because when you say no problem, it insinuates that there was a problem. And then they look at you like a deer in headlights and go, oh, I never thought of that. Like, what is going on out there? It's thank you and you're welcome. Period. Don't
That's
change
right.
English
All right, clean it up,
language.
world, and stop being so.
Oh, by
silly.
the way, there was one more for the bathroom. I forgot. You know, John Vero, our Republican guy, and every time he has to go, legislator. Here he goes. I got to go launch a Democrat.
Oh man,
I'm staying away from that one. I'm staying.
John Vero.
what's the 2-minute song?
Contact FSC.
2-second song.
Oh my God.
That's okay, but you know
We're
he's a
gonna let
staunch
that go.
Republican.
Paul,
we'll let that one go.
Thank you very much. We love having you.
Now,
on
Paul,
the
if
air.
people want to get a hold of you, the services, or anything else that's going on, what's the best way for them to do
our
that?
website, NebraskaPlumbing.com.
Easy.
Or email us, info@NebraskaPlumbing.com. Questions, really anything you have, call us. We'll be really,
so if
really
very nice.
if
there,
I want to
have tell
redo
you.
my bathroom, maybe put a new sink in or whatever it may happen to be, you could give a free estimate with that.
Absolutely.
Are you trying to say you're going to agree to do the bathroom?
Now, listen, when you do sinks and things like that, do you put
Notice he
the
did
like in a
not answer.
bathroom? Do you put the countertop in too, or
No, that we do not do. That we would.
That's not what a plumber does,
that's
right?
That's not what a plumber does. That's not what a plumber does.
So you work with somebody who does, so you can. Would you ever give a reference to people?
So that's I do, and references. It's a great question. I'm glad we're going to end this way. References for me are very hard because you want a company that is going to have the same values as you have. And I find as our values in our company, if I give a reference and they don't get the same service they get from me, I get a call and get a complaint.
Sure you do.
So my reference is maybe 3 people. So it's very hard for me to give a reference.
Makes sense.
But I like that. I like that because that's exactly who you are and the company is.
Right.
So you don't ever misrepresent who you are.
Correct. So it makes it so references. Same thing. Start with references when you're hiring a contractor.
I'm calling
All right.
Neil because his house has been full of contractors forever.
I can give you a reference for everything. Everything.
He's got an old lady house.
Last thing that we didn't go over, which was really common sense, we didn't talk about getting couple prices. Okay,
Right.
and lowest isn't
makes
always
sense.
the best.
Yeah, I was going to say
Absolutely.
lowest isn't always the best for what you're
You just got to
dealing with.
compare people. And sometimes I think that you can sit down with somebody and say, listen, I really want to use you. But, we're X amount over. I don't know if you negotiate or they negotiate.
Well, I think, Paul, you would at least give them the reason for why it costs what it does, what you plan to do, right?
Absolutely, you got to sell yourself. Negotiation is fine.
Okay.
And sometimes it's there.
As long
Most
as
of the
it's
time-
reasonable.
Yeah, most of the time, it depends. We try to give the best price up front. Another thing is, be careful of the guy who only wants cash.
Oh, no, never do that.
Okay, and there's
never,
a lot
ever.
of contractors.
But you get that
Never,
discount, though, Paul.
Yeah. And you won't get the job done.
I
No.
understand the discount, but are they paying their taxes?
They're not,
Are
yeah.
they paying their workers?
Do
Are
they have
paying workers?
insurance?
Insurance is a great one, okay?
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Yeah.
That's important. I'm not saying it's horrible, but I'm just saying watch out.